Hi everyone, it's Jen from Mind's Eye. So we're gonna do a bit of the deep dive today, and basically all you need to know is that when I'm gonna do this deep dive, it really is a psychic medium show that basically comes in and it says how you can get like really like into it. So with that being said, that is how it is. It is so criminal here out in Connecticut that you just can't even get your words straight. So with that being said, this is how you do it. When it is a deep dive, you look through and you look through all the way through. And as a psychic, as a medium, you get hard into it, which means through the obscurities and everything. When you look into it, you actually link it through, and then you link it through all the way down, even if it makes no sense whatsoever. So we have to apologize. Like we said, you just couldn't even do it. Just couldn't even do it. So here we go. The first to follow up is this. How did you actually get down to King Arthur? Down to King Arthur, where you couldn't even sue anything. Sue anything. So, when you look at King Arthur and you look at it completely, you have to look at it to the highest degree of none. So when we looked at it in the first episode, it was about how these individuals found the sword, and then King Arthur himself would say, "Go find whoever is making these pucks into the sword." But there was something about these knights, or what we would call soldiers, or anyone in the military would go and they would try to find it, especially in law enforcement, and then they would be stuck there, like they would be stranded. They would never come back. But then when we actually looked at it through, it had something dirty to do about a type of magic, a type of energy of conjuring that was very unbeknownst. So let's look at it a little bit deeper, and then we'll see where it leads off, because we had George Washington, we also had Anne Frank, we had Syria, we had the Salem witch trials. We had a lot of things come in, a lot of things. All right. So as this being said, where we're picking up with King Arthur, you can't even see it like come through whatsoever. So when I actually look at it, I have to say there is still this wall with King Arthur that has to be unbeknownst. And we don't understand why. But when I'm seeing this, the Queen of Pentacles, and this, it is this like crossroads feeling at a railroad still, that you can't get anything done. It's such a block. It is such a block where you couldn't even understand. Now, with that being said, you see the Hermit in reverse. It is severe isolation to solitude. Solitude means there is just no contact whatsoever. Now, when you look at it through and through, it seemed like it was the best idea, but it was like grandiose thoughts placed upon these individuals for King Arthur that isolated them. That's the Hermit again. Let's look through. All right. Now, as this being said, it really was difficult. Like, it was really hard, a harsh ending when it came to these individuals who encountered him. I don't know why I'm seeing the color purple. I do see it's a feeling of Lent there with purple, but I do see more green around the castle. And that is where a lot of people are happy. Like, it's like this energy of being happy in that area. But the Page of Cups actually looks and says in reverse that there was like a cutoff on ages on certain things, especially with males. The sun in reverse means there was like a discontent from I see a 15 in the background, and it floats to a 18 to, I want to say, 17. It's like blocked. When I say I want to say 17, it's like blocked again. That is definitely energy of the occult. There's something of hard, harsh energy that is not meant to be broken yet. It's highly strong. So we'll see if we can dig a little bit more. Where are we allowed to actually see around what was true and what was not? So I'm hearing schooling. It was mandated to actually come in at certain times, and these it was like contracted. The King of Swords, you couldn't even see it coming, this Six of Swords is this feeling of wanting to move on, but it really has to do with military and law enforcement and legal and contracts of these adolescent males coming towards King Arthur, and this type of energy that shows like a type of frequency that's really hard. We would understand that frequency like a 945 to a 345. Page of Swords says, they could cut through things swiftly. So it reminds me a little bit of alchemy, but here it is. It's breaking up. It really had to do with the Knights of Templar right off the bat. So the Three of Cups means no, but they were like seriously able to throw energy so hard you couldn't understand. They're showing me Germania, which is a type of area in like near Germany where you couldn't get it done. I mean, they would cause a pause and put a standstill. That was the way they worked their magic. There was no spell, there was no cast, there was no on or off, or off, which is for me as a magician, like a type of burn with incense and root and leaves of like getting it in. They keep doing this like with Native American ritual. That's what it's like getting it out. Now, with this, the Four of Wands in reverse, you can't understand why there was no celebration. So, as we talked about with the Salem witch trials, because that's where we were picking up on how they were able to get out of their detriment, because there was such a timeline jump and a backstory that you couldn't see it, that it actually ended in untimely deaths. All right, let's go to a harder deck. So we had King Arthur, we got the Knights of Templar, we did Eastern Europe all the way down to, it was Salem witch trials where they migrated to and from. They were asked to migrate. It was known, it was written already and foretold and prophesied. That is where one of the videos had elaborated. It wants me to say elaborated. Two of Pentacles in reverse. It means that there was a lack of money, no stone. It's showing me the coin with the pentacle, which is what we saw a few nights ago, especially in relation to New Orleans and what's recently happened. And then we also saw it where it dropped down with the most recent events in South Carolina with the three miners. So when I'm looking at this in the Five of Pentacles, you actually have to say there's like this type of loss I'm hearing reticence. Now, when I'm looking at it and I hear the star, there's unfulfilled wishes. So here we are We come over from Eastern Europe. It was already known. It was already told. They knew why everyone was coming into port. It was not happy. It it was something like brought in. It was not good at all. And that is how they would like deter. They would just stop and look at everything. Now, with that being said, when I see the Six of Cups, there was no type of reunion or nostalgia about this. This was something new. It's showing me sitting in the countryside, but also in the court side of Salem and sitting and counting, doing this. And when you see Five of Cups, you go, this was like a relief, a relief. Knight of Pentacles coming back. I'm seeing a sea, almost like a fish hook, but like a sickle. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Usually it's a young offering. It's very solid, like the Page of Pentacles is brand new right on the table. It is coming forward a little bit more. And when you say Nine of Swords, you literally have to say it. You literally have to say it. So when we look at this and you say, there's something about broke through. That energy hit hard. Yeah. Nine of Swords in reverse. I gotta take a second here because I just felt a ton of energy just hit me right in the face. Untimely deaths, sharp endings, the Death card in reverse. With the Nine of Swords, it literally means you weren't supposed to see it right now on what and why it was here. But really, it was the Nine of Wands with the King of Swords that couldn't even get the relief. So the Nine of Wands with the Nine of Swords in reverse to the King of Swords. It was nasty contracts. It was nasty, like walking in with a robe like they see in the movies, like Lord of the Rings and with Gandalf the White and Gandalf the Gray. Like you just can't even see it. And I probably am saying it right and wrong, but to a doe. And I'm seeing two deer to a song, which is out of Sound of Music, to everything in a part, to Germany, which is pollution to collusion, to all of it down to the highest road of B. That literally linked like 500 years. 500 years. From Salem, Massachusetts to World War I to World War II. It literally like looped around. It's showing me like a spiral staircase going down. Now, when you hear it, this is absolute strength. Strength when you can't even take a drink. It's like the elixir or the over-the-counter cough medicine is so starkly hidden to the highest appointed degree of none that you literally make the upward face. So what was true when we actually looked at Salem witch trials, and we'll go a little bit deeper, it was so heinous that it looks exactly like a racketeering game. And when they used to go and look, and this is, like I said, follow up from the Salem witch trial videos, the first three, that you couldn't even get done, but we had to put it at rest because it was getting heinous in the area. So when we actually see it, it was nasty on how they were able to control a lot of the mind, body, and soul, and however was their one watching over in the town was such a Lucifer, but was a female sitting and counting stones, that it was actually grotesque humor. Grotesque humor. So when I look at it and I say the Page of Swords, 2 strength in reverse, it was highly weak. Highly weak. Couldn't even understand. Couldn't even understand. 7 of Cups in reverse. There was no grandiose thoughts. They were cleared so hard of clear sound mind that you couldn't even get it done fast enough. So those individuals in Salem were clear sound mind. They were proven, and it really was hard to get to court. So by the time they actually got to court, it actually warranted such a quick trial that it actually went to the hangings, to being buried alive in stone, and then having it. It was like this. They're showing me this and folded up into a package and mailed. But then I see MALE. Now, when we looked at it also in Salem, it had to do with the iron fence at the cemetery, at the memorial, that it was so specific that you couldn't, like, nobody can understand why. I feel like that is truly them that have covered where it's who needs to know when they need to know. And that is just how ancestors are, especially the afterlife. They will literally put a block on it, and it's whoever needs to know it. So it is a play on words when it comes to that. Whoever needs to know it, it means no, knock it out into KNOW. All of a sudden you hear, I need to look at this, and it almost becomes a permission granted on who's allowed. They literally will look at it. So now they're showing me like a fast forward from Salem, from the Knights of Templar, King Arthur, right down to Washington, D.C., where we were talking about Abraham Lincoln and how he had his issues with a tree. And you couldn't understand tree, but you had to watch his wife, how she did her morning habits. And when she did her morning habits, she would get upset because you disrupted. So when it came down to it, it really was paper. But these guys could actually, even back then, what we say, speak on the low and speak so loud intuitively, you could be heard anywhere. Anywhere. So when I said it's kind of this whirlwind of energy that surrounds Washington, D.C., of this overlook. And if something is not right there, that these guys in the afterlife, who we have known as presidents and vice presidents and historical figures, they're going to let you know. But there's something that we also talked about was the Rosetta Stone, on how the stone is living. So it wants me to touch a little bit further about the Rosetta Stone, on why this is so important to say, even prior to the weekly psychic reading for next week going into. There's just something about it that kind of crinks through. What does it need us to know? So this one is right in your face, and it's like a sinus infection. So as I am going to remote view, and that's usually how I am a little bit when I remote view, there's like infection brewing. The stone is showing infection brewing, that it's like green mold brewing. It'll go away in a March. Yep, especially in 2029. It's going to go away in a March. There's something not looked at. It has to do actually biblical. It has to do with a lot of things things that are coming through when I see the Ark of the Covenant card. I do see, when I see it, it's a flight above, but you're going to catch it. And that's when the lookout is in a March, but really it's a February to like a stale white April. Now, when I see the Queen of Keys, I actually have to say, go back, but really, no, just push forward. Now, when I'm looking at legal and I'm looking at justice and I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the Eye of Horus. I'm seeing a lot of Egyptian. So look at the sand, culture of the sand. You won't even believe the diversity in it. And that's the tone of the universe. It really is. So when I see it, I actually say, you can't even see yourself. It's like clouded vision. Look at the eyes. Get an eye exam. So when we bring it all back to these historical stories that are folklore, you go to William Tell's and like there's just the energy is just flowing. All right, Uriel and the Sphinx, you couldn't stand or back up. Like it felt like me today. I couldn't even back up the truck for a second. And it felt like a fated meeting from the police, but really it wasn't. It really had to deal with a commitment. I had to be careful about clearing the way. And was it the driveway or was it anything else? It's something that has to be set in the driveway when you have aggregate. But really, there's just welcome to the initiation of the club of, it's just not set down. It's just not set down. Unfulfilled wishes, no. But how do you relate it to William Tell? You can't. There's something about sands of time. I swear to God, this is how a lot of young psychics, beginner psychics, start like connecting things that you can't even understand what is true and what is not. All right. So now that meeting in court is adjourned, we have to go over, and we flee right over, and you can't even see it through. How is my driveway post snow? Me trying to back up the truck related to William Tell. Intuitively, you have to say, what is the story of William Tell? Let's just ask permission. Like, can we talk about this? And he goes, yes, you can. You look at the road and you see how they plowed, and you see how they actually looked hard and how they sanded little. The snow has to set down in order to drive properly, in order to move properly, in order to do a slip and fall. You will understand it. It's something so old, but part of daily practice. So when you look at me, look at oak and birch and regard pine. It will incomplete the reading and the cycle of William Tell. So when you look at it, it's not planted. You have to see how, like, scientists will actually look at the snow, the chemistry, the particles of how snow is to prove what is true. And that's what we've been talking about with the underground patriot movement of weather manipulation. Was it sorcery that was not use of natural elements? Is it a machine? Is it the matrix? What is it? What is it? This is what actually will cause like isolation, and this is like well thought out and like written out to like keep them alone. Oh my goodness. So I when I keep doing that, that's like a pushback to the energy actually pushing me back, and I actually get a little bit of acid reflux. But anyway, so when I look at it, I do see the snake, but I do see more the fox, and the fox is something that they would say, please don't look at, because that has to do with something with how it all went to Roanoke, which had to do with Knights of Templar, which had to do with Pocahontas and John Smith. And then it had to do with how it all played out up into Appalachia with post-hurricane, and then snow too early, snow in places where it shouldn't be. Now with that, this is where everyone's saying this is a conspiracy theory. There's just nothing wrong. Do you understand that? It's snow. No. Those who are highly, highly attuned to everything, which means they have such high intuitive hearing, can actually hear, see, and feel the snow, that it's different. The weather is different. They can say, yes, a storm is coming. No, it's going to go away. But this is like a working, simply we always say the magician is working one's magic. But it really isn't. It really is skill. It's a type of skill that has to come out. And it will make a lot of things happy when it comes to this story about William Tell, and actually going through everything and looking at everything on the boat. But in reality, it's counterintuitive. That's the argument about like how it plowed out here. But it really is the way you plowed, and you didn't set a whole lot of stand. It's a dirt road. That's all you need to know. So when you actually look at this and you go back to historically, like they already knew. They already knew there was going to be an argument about this. That is part of meditation. So what is this negative female energy that's actually bringing out all these old stories for these deep dives as we follow up with it? So as I look at George Washington, as he came through here in my town, which was Ashford, Connecticut, it had something to do with the occult. But he said he could actually like pinpoint and trace everything, and it's highly documented that he could actually pick up a lot of things on a through and through. And a through and through is basically speaking on the low, like you could hear things clearly. Is very common in World War I and World War II, and especially in the Cold and Korean War, where officers and others could afterwards, after certain things come through. Now, when I see this and I see the Eight of Swords, it is highly deceitful at first. And you talk about all these ill contracts. So how would William Tell to Daniel Boone have a nasty contract? In reality is that they were so attuned that they could speak low, that they could contact military and law enforcement of their day. But why is it? And they had this type of move on that they couldn't control. And that is where they had the lack of a start at times. It was a block that they couldn't get through at times. So when I see this and I see the Ten of Pentacles, they were still highly secure in all forms of monetary balance, but also everything that they needed. So how does that go back to the Salem witch trials, to King Arthur, who, is looking like in the psychic reading, the foundation of the Knights of Templar, to an actual ending of like, kill it, kill it, kill it. What is this type of criminal activity or anything like that is actually going to make a breakthrough make sense? Why is it all coming through? It's something about a pause, a long, long pause. Feel free to ask questions also and leave a comment. So when I look at this, it's something not look into. It's not supposed to be researched. And you can understand that, especially with sensitive and classified and security clearance, and whether or not you have the credentials to look at it. But when you see this, you actually have to say it has to do with a type of family feeling that gets it done. So when I look at it, the Two of Wands in reverse, it's not foreseen. You can't look at anything like that, but it really is going to hurt when you actually chisel it through. So I'm being a little bit more led down to New Orleans, that area. As a remote view, I just see this cover. Like it's contained there, highly contained of what's going on, because there's just something about this. There is a connection toward it, but let's do a scry with the crystal quartz. What is the connection to the most recent events down in South Carolina, the incident of New Orleans, to the subway incident of the woman untimely death of fire, to like a witch's fire? Common sense would actually link it, but in reality, there is something about it. There's something about it. That's why I said, do we all have to carry our stones and have a jar of dirt? And it's not being derogatory. What is this type of like internal containment that when we actually go and look at it, is it conjuring? It really is. Anyone who's lived long enough can actually link it right through. It's very common, but I'm just seeing stacks of wood in a pile. And not in that way, like stacks of wood ready for the wood stove. It is a type of teamwork. It usually is around a get-together. It really is about something that was inherited. It's something about lack of teamwork. I really have to draw that one out. You've seen it, like literally you've seen it and felt it looking out your windows. I already know what's going on. Ten of Swords, you're going to get the like finality, like it, final relief, what you need. There is this turning point of some walkaways, to the Ten of Wands actually saying because of difficulty. Let's say how much. It really was beknownst when you get down to Plymouth, when you look at the rock, and you look at the rock, and I'm seeing this. This is an old hand sign of Italian mob. I grew up around law enforcement, so I definitely know my hand signs at times. This literally means was a go about order, and to know about it, all forms of the meaning and the spelling, and go lay down for the night. It is this type of addiction that's not illegal substance. The King of Cups in reverse means it's a takeaway. They take away. It is something of a wish, the Seven of Pentacles. So you have Plymouth, you have migration. I see strawberries. Greed, definitely offset. There's a type of integrity of off and go about and go hunting. You have to literally be really good and skilled at your timing, especially if you do Wicca or if you do any of those practices on doing a draw out on what's going on in your area or even in your life, of like, show me the truth and what needs to be revealed to me, because it will cause chaos. Anyone who's really, really good at doing it knows when to stop and when to actually burn your incense. It will cause a lot of discontent if you dig a little bit too deeper in the September of 2028. Now, with that being said, the Three of Wands goes, you did not even see this coming. It is so new. It's not written that you can't even see it. Let's go to the Oracle. All right. So I see a lot of runny noses. A lot of runny noses. Where you just can't even understand why you're on a stay put order again. Huh. All right. Let's go. All right, here we go. Seven of Pentacles again. Goat, stream, fallen timber, North Carolina, river run, be a bay. Be a bay. Like I said, there's something with the wood. Here it is. Here it is. They're showing me more like that, like a picture, like North Carolina, and how the debris, if anyone had seen anything online, of how the trees fell. Anyone who's an arborist would know very well, like how the storm would have actually came through, on how the trees would have fallen all the way to the break, to where everything is, to the rings of the trees, and seeing how it all collected everywhere. And then when you actually look at it and you go back to, because they're leading me back to Salem witch trials, has to do with wood. It really has to, because we did talk about birch. We did talk about knocks on the door. They would knock on the door in Salem to check if you were well. So going back to that, you can't even see it coming, this knock on the door, if you were well or not. Coming towards it, you can't see it. Birch does have this property of a cutaway. It really is usually oak on cutting energy. Birch is like a punch hole. Willow actually like striates to a lot of things. Five of Swords towards that. Again, you can't even. You couldn't even believe it. It's so simple. It's happened before in history. It's very much like what happened in Colorado, but it wasn't. They were not removed from their homes like that. Whatever it is, it says illogic. It was illogic. It had a lot of strength. It ripped you right out. Knight of Pentacles, it would take away things like these offers. It would just take away. When I say biblical, I'm seeing more as in relation. They're showing me in mediumship. It was like the green notebooks for the military, where they would sit and they would like look through their notes and say, yep, here. And then I hear 16 years. Queen of Pentacles, it was a type of selling of oneself. So Four of Pentacles in reverse, you can't even relate to it to the highest degree of nun, N-U-N, actual convent. to convolute. No securement in anything. Anything. Ace of Wands that was the fiery beginning, like the outcry of, like, if you think of a town walking out of its home, like everyone walks out, they're amped up because they saw it, they heard it, they felt it. So let's actually look at the girls a little bit in any one of the minors of those historical events on how they cried wolf. What were they really crying wolf? Okay, gold tarot. So I hear a lot of ringing in the ears, like magic, like bells ringing at times for some of these people, where they said, no, I heard a ring right to my ear, this ear or this ear, and actually measured. So when I actually look at it and I look through up, you couldn't believe what would be true. Like I said, it had to deal with well. Well is an old term that comes in as a point of grace to a point of line, which is old legal, pre-constitution, that they would instill. It would be the females who would actually instill post being born. It would actually be greedy if the men did it. But this was how they used to talk with legal, is they put it on the table as what could come. So when I see this, there was no skill. If you're thinking about how it is from the 90s of like Tupac and Biggie and anything else, and speaking on the low, if you're doing well, that literally means you got to get it out of you and you got to reinstill yourself, and then you have to lock it down until it's set on the basis of reform. So were they being reformed in all these things, these teenagers or young minors? There's something about a wish fulfillment. So they go back to how it is, like in Hocus Pocus, and you look at it and they say, yes, it really is true. They did do that. But it had to come at night, NITE. It was a type of dictatorship of the source that had to get it a DUN. The magician actually in reverse shows it was such trickery. You couldn't even believe it, because the Queen of Cups goes, no. None of it. So counterintuitive of a rip away of like, get it here, get them here right now. I can't believe it. And it's something that a lot of parents have seen in the current date and time, even in mainstream news. They're saying like what is actually being instilled into our children at this point when they're acting like this. It's like an alleviation of dictatorship. So we saw the gold coin, we saw the golden egg, we saw something else drop from the ceiling of the universe, of this like occult like block. It is definitely black, but today I'm able to see green, yellow, and gray of a mix together. So the Page of Cups looks at it and you say, it was so nasty. Like if someone was 16 years old, a young gentleman, they would be nasty with that type of energy around them, even though there was nothing instilled, and they were still injured to the point of becoming a criminal and having a mark on them. All right, let's look at this. It's befitting. It is the Literary Witches Oracle. And let's see what these women's author actually had to say. There's definitely deception and dishonesty. There's definitely something lurking in the dark. They did call it in 1992. They called it in the 1600s, almost for 90 years. It literally would transform you, and it actually would like take shape. That energy was so hard. Let's look at it again. Let's look at it again. It does not want me to look at it, but we're going to still push on through here. Here, I hear close hearing when I see the rabbit. There's a type of loss. It's in the back of the mind. Reformation, rue, do you know me to you? Loo you, boo you, sue you, goo you, moo you, do you, love. Literally, that's like a rhyme that someone would say, that like no matter what they would do, they would rent you. So you could literally be cooking and they rented you. It's a type of prostitution that you didn't even know about at times. That's how derogatory it would get back then. And that is why they would seek asylum. They would go insane. It's a type of digging, of a wit and fun at times, of a mastery of this energy. And it is dark, but we have seen it before, especially anyone who's been deployed to the Middle East, especially when they're in the marketplaces. Rebellion, it is heavily guarded when they do it. You don't even know when they do it, and it's usually within a community. You can't even tell who's in the community and who isn't. They're so solid with power that it's untamed. It's highly untamed. History, it's happened before. It's going to be abrupt. Like they said, give it a chance. It will make a lot of things fall in society. So prudency is key. Look into the corners of the cobwebs to see the spider, but you must go do and a do and a low to the door and look through it hard. Because when you actually go and you do your rituals of maybe have the bells on the door, and then you have like washing down the door, because you could smell something, you have to say it was something in a up to a like a butt of the joke of a jiff. The lantern actually is looking about it to the braid where you couldn't understand. I'm seeing actual like hemp braid though, and smoking to make lore. You can't make lore. Lore is already within someone, passed down from generation to generation or lifetime to lifetime, where they know how to do a protect. So when I'm looking at this, and usually lore is around fowl, it's highly connected, where it's like attached to the bird to be known. Hedgehog, it's get here. It's a playfulness though. We'll look at the runes. We'll circle around a little bit longer. We'll go to the poplar wood. It will cause a freeze when you hear it in common day on how like everything was so connected in history, where everyone's like, it's just a conspiracy theory. You're just a nut. but it had so much power on linking through that when you see this Dega, it is like you have to sit and you say, no, I'm hunting it. But it really is a small bomb of energy bomb. When you see Othala, it is heritage, it is culture, it is everything to standing up of wood. That when you actually write about, you can feel the blocks actually come through. So when I look at this and I see wealth, what is wealth to one's person? When I'm looking at the person, it is the old crone and the crew, CRUE. It's an old term of a type of witch that is an EABEY, EABAY. That's study of magician, where they are nasty. They're such a containment. They're contained with whatever they're doing. They can't. It's a huge block within them for everyone's safety. They're living now. They can live through it really well. It really is like joy when you realize yeah, but they can break containment. It's something about being born or nude again. You must know your magic and your locks and your blocks. Because when I look at this and I see Algiz, which is a type of warrior, it's something at night, warrior, Nadis, into all of it. You just can't cut away. You can't cut away at that type of energy, especially in today's day. If you're going to do magician work or you're going to do witchcraft or you're going to do anything on a cutaway to see what's going on, you have to make sure that it's towards just the energy and not the individual itself, because they must be able to stand trial if it's true. So when I look at this and I'm seeing gift at night, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. It is a type of wheel of luck, like Wheel of Fortune, of a guess what it is. To the warrior, it's like you can't even understand what is true and what is not. It is ill fate to the highest desire, but on the flip, though, that's why I keep hearing, I'll catch you on the flip. Now, in Salem and in Plymouth, they flipped out when they saw their birds, their chickens, just completely taken away. That's what they're showing me in mediumship. As far as Germany and Knights of Templar and the Freemasons, it was a catalyst with the chicken, but really it was the goats. When it came down to everything else, it definitely had to go down to the cows and everything else in agriculture, which is a catalyst for the Civil War. So when I lead it back to Abraham Lincoln, when he had an issue with a tree, it really was the weeping willow, but really it was the pine bark that burned in a certain way where the ashes had to be contained and tested. That's what caused havoc. It was just sheer instinct that caught that in the 1800s, ash. It was something in the ashes. So when I look at it, and I have to say, torch to ulcer, there's something about how it flows. How it flows, the strength. Now it just wants me to stop with the wood runes. And we will look at the Pleiadian Oracle, and then we will also look at the Farsi Oracle. Wants to dig a little bit deeper and look in. Okay, Pleiadian Oracle. All right. It's saying that when you are doing these deep dives and you're looking in, and then you are doing like historical society or any type of tours, go ahead and just take a little bit of a chance and actually use a little bit of energy work. You'll be surprised on what will be allowed for you to know. And don't be scared. There's something of mathematical virtue that comes in with this energy work. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're doing energy, like they're like allowing that energy to come through. They can actually control it with a thought. It's really not that hard. With that being said, what is this? All right, telepathy. You're going to hear like a word or two of what you need to do and what you need to go toward it. It is going to erupt, but you need to see it. So when you see transmission, you actually have to look through it so hard that you can't even understand. It's coming together over something that went heinous. And we're like, that's a backfire. Who taught you how to do these things? Because that really should have been containment issue, a huge containment issue. Here it is, the golden egg. We stop right there. This is where I have to say something invited in. When I see Ashtar in this whole deck, is you don't want this if you see this golden egg right now. All right. So going back to it, you couldn't even see it. Couldn't even see it. When you see this, inner child, tenderness, innocent, rare gifts, wild card, doors opening. We're boiling it down. Like we said, Salem witch trials had something to do with racketeering game, a pot and a stone in the pot. They couldn't do anything. They were so amped, these individuals, that they couldn't control themselves because of so much power, which reminds me of Hitler with how it would be a DEA incident like crazy, the way that man was popping pills like crazy and concocting. But really, when you see this and you embrace your awareness, you face your true north, it's something that is looked for and after. Oh, we're almost there. Almost there. It was, they all had to trust when to come out. It wasn't done yet. Slow down in time and nature. Visionary, inspired ideas. These individuals, these victims. Question everything. Everything must go. To all of a sudden calling in support. And then when you actually look at it and you see holding the opposites, extreme of life, it was polar opposites to almost bipolar, where if I looked at these individuals and as a nurse who's now retired, I would have to say that there was incident of mental health issues that you would actually make yourself that bug-eyed and cross-eyed if you sat with them. And like, I don't know if I can tolerate their energy, their amped energy. There was something about this. It was like, wanting to be uprooted. And it goes right back to this energy of opaque with a spider. And then the spider with Daniel Boone, where he lived with a bunch of other people, going back up to his house and his family saying, get out of here. All right. All right. When I see this, gift, gift, wealth. Righto. Like I said, They saw it a lot, especially here in Connecticut with the North State Hospital and Mansfield Training School, of trolling. Get it done, get it done, get it done, get it out. And then all of a sudden, you were where you weren't supposed to be. It had such power towards you, you couldn't understand, like a ball of twine. And like I said, broken fate means that the universe can't even do anything. Just letting the energy settle down so I can see where I am. Again, canoe, torch. I speak Gaelic, Onalana Malayalia. There is a lot, but you can't do it. You're not right of run. It's like they look at someone and say, nope, they're not right. Upon a look, like we were seeing in New York. Where is this all leading to? They're showing me Eastern Europe. Again, Salem, Roanoke, the water. Watch the water. That was recent again. I'm seeing again all these hand signs come out. Receding water, watermill. They couldn't get things done. Those are the strongest still had issues of people putting words in their mouth. So when they do that, they usually pause. That's how they would do. Like they were, that energy is so strong. I can't even deal with it today. It causes a lot of havoc. Where else? All right, I'm hearing birthright. When it comes to birthright, it was not to be known who was born first, especially when they were close in age. And it has to do with contracts, especially with mob and mafia, and who would inherit it, who would marry who. Is it a good marriage? Is it a good business contract? Would it solidify a future? Anything like that. That was still known of arranged marriages. It wasn't even true to this day, which we all know is a lie. ALIYE is an old mob term of staying within. So those families have always been with each other, those two families. It's unfulfilled wishes to the Father of Swords. It had to deal with old military. The Son of Wands actually goes through in reverse to the Father of Swords. They will actually like pull it like right back. If they found out that someone would, which goes right to the Hatfields and McCoys, they were not supposed to marry each other. And then it went right to someone in the town saying, nope, we're going to cause division. So when I look at this, and I have to say, the Eight of Swords in reverse, deceit to hostage, like of being told, if you don't do this, you're going to do it. So how are they would be keeping track of the current date and time without paper to all the way through the 1500s to biblical times? And that's where we're going to end there. So with that being said, that's all I have to say. It really was a roundabout. We did chisel away a lot of energy and more of looking into. Like I said, this is a really hard block and it's really hard to get into, but it is going away each day and seeing what is true and what is not. Any questions or concerns, leave a comment or an email. A like and a share is greatly appreciated. and we will talk to you soon and talk to you later on tonight.